Greetings, one and all. My name is Ville Valo from the band VV, and at the moment you have the pleasure of enjoying May the Rock Be With You. Take it easy.
G'day, Ville. How are you, mate?
I'm getting there slowly but surely. What about yourself? What's the time over there now?
It is 7:22 p.m. on Wednesday.
Oh, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for the time, and welcome back to May the Rock Be With You. It's been about 10 years since we last chatted.
It's been a while, and and what a journey with the pandemic and everything. And then
Well, I was going to say
we had and my previous band didn't fall apart, but we decided to call it a day. So a lot of twists and turns in this tale, and I'm happy to be back, and I'm super happy that I was able to twist the arm of the booking agents and get us to fly over.
Yes, excellent. I was going to say let's catch up how the last 10 years been, but you just summed it all up for me.
Well, it's an emotional thing. It was the Soundwave thing is in Australia especially. It was fantastic. Just such a cool and a different way to meet a ton of different artists. We travel a lot in the same buses and taking the same flights. So it was something very special, and a lot of mates around, and a lot of parties, and a lot of dancing, and it was a lot of good memories, and that's the reason to come back.
And you are coming back as a solo artist, though, for the first time ever, which is really, really weird. It's the first time in a long time. Give us an idea on how a VV show shapes up in 2024.
I put together a fantastic band here in Helsinki because I ended up working on my first solo album, Neon Noir. I worked on it completely solo. I'm so very literal. Maybe as Finns are a bit stupid or so forth. I thought that if you make a solo album, you actually literally have to play everything by yourself. And but COVID forced my hand into working in solitude, and I ended up I used the whole pandemic. The album kept me sane more or less, and I got the album together, got it out, and while doing so, I was looking for band members. I was looking for something different as opposed to him, because I didn't think that copying what I've done in the past, would be interesting for the audiences nor myself. So I was looking for sort of a gothic interpretation of Queens of the Stone Age, and we got fairly close with the band. They're lovely lads. We played 120 shows last year, so we're in good shape, and it'll be 50% him tracks and 50% of my new stuff, and we zigzag between the past and the present, and a bit of the future, I guess, too. So it'll be a good one. It's I'm not a big fan of touring. At the end of the day, I wasn't, and I always found it a bit of a drag, to be honest. And I loved working in the studio, but with the solo stuff, it's been amazing, especially audiences seeing a lot of old faces, familiar faces, and a lot of new, because you can't tell in advance, how things are going to go, and it's been quite miraculous at the end of the day to see so many, to see that some of the music I make still resonates, and it's not a given. So
no, not really.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here, and extremely excited to be able to fly over. And the lads in the band and the tech crew, they've never been to a part of the world, so they're super excited as well. Unfortunately, the schedule is really tight, but then again, that's always a good reason to fly back. So
well, you'll have to come back and see us. And I've seen you live a number of times with the band back in the day. It's always an amazing live show. But your first time solo, how would you best describe now your solo show in one word, and one word only?
Oh man, the first, because emotional.
That's good. I like that.
Music should touch the listener and the performer, and it should be a delicate flower, made out of spikes and metal, So it's one of those things, it's a bit more controlled. I think how we're doing this, a lot of the hymn songs we're playing sound a bit closer to the recorded hymn versions, because him as a band live, we were always a bit rough around the edges, and we liked it. We were such big fans of Black Sabbath that we wanted the albums to be a separate thing from the live experience. But with this time around, we've got two guitar players in the band, so they can play off of each other in a sort of more Smashing Pumpkinsy slash the hymn recorded way. You know, the pretty arpeggiated parts happening at the same time when the fuzzy guitars are happening, and so we're kind of in that sense. It's a bit different, but it's familiar. It won't be. We're not doing like reggae versions of "Join Me in Death" or whatever. It's not that.
Damn it.
Not that. Well, you know, there'll come a time.
Yeah. The next two are reinvented. That's what you do. VV reinvented.
Next life. That's the next life.
I'm up for that. Now, we talked about Neon Noir briefly before, but when you release your first solo album, if you like, is there a sense of starting over and nerves essentially being a new artist?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the cool thing about it because what I love about being solo is the fact that I've only got myself to blame. And I don't have to compromise schedule-wise. You know, I can work on the little tiny nitty-gritty details as much as I want and for as long as I wanted to. With a band, at its best, it's a band of brothers. You know, it's like in our case, Five Musketeers with him. But it's a different feel. I'm happy that we had a band for 25 years, but I'm happy to be able to do you know, see the forest for the trees or a different set of trees. You know, it's a new angle and new perspective really makes me tick, as opposed to, you know, getting sucked into the black hole of routine, because that's terrible, especially when it comes to music. Because if it starts to feel like work, then you're doing something wrong.
I love that. That's the perfect answer for exactly what it is. That's brilliant. Now, what, if anything, did the album allow you to do that you felt you weren't able to do as a part of him?
Well, I'm a stickler for detail. I really like detailed work, and a lot of sort of widescreen, epic, surreal soundscapes. And maybe the lads in him were a bit more straightforward rockers. So I was able to bring in more of the early '80s new wavy goth, sort of like chimey guitars and that vibe. I think the album's a bit more '80s, and the first music I heard basically was in the '80s when I was growing up. So that's a very important decade for me, musically speaking, and to be able to musically sort of get closer to my idols and the reasons why I'm here, why I picked up the guitar and started yodeling in the first place. It's quite an amazing thing, because at the same time, while you're trying to create something new, you're always a torchbearer for somebody, you know, standing on the shoulders of giants, as they say, and you know, carrying the flag of Black Sabbath in my case. So it's a circular motion, I guess, you know, and a serpent its own tail.
Yeah.
Ouroboros. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, let's look back, because over your career, it can be very easy to say what can change over time. But what's the one thing that's always remained the same for you?
In my career, the fact that I still haven't been, I still haven't learned how to let go. And the good thing, I'm a bit more patient, but I'm very hard to please, you know. And that's I know that myself very well, and musically speaking, and that's otherwise I'm easy and cheap, but artistically I'm a hard nut to crack.
That's very good. Now, I always like asking the question, I wish I wrote it. So is there one song in the world you wish you wrote, and what is it and why?
Oh, not really. There are songs that I adore. Let's say Wicked Game by Chris Isaak.
Yeah.
Such an important song for various different reasons. Then talking about the '80s, Madonna's Live to Tell. It was a big part when I was a kid. You know, that was the first of like those slow dance numbers in school when you got close to a girl you might have liked back in the day, and a lot of firsts and a lot of big emotions, and there's so many great songs. But I think trying to make a cocktail out of all the influences one has, you know, that's the cool thing about music. And so there's, you know, monetarily, I'd say happy birthday to you.
Yeah, or White Christmas or something like that.
Something like that.
Like,
but I'm
not
much of a businessman.
Yeah, I prefer your version of Wicked Game over Chris Isaac's anyway, but you know, what are you going to do? But,
oh, wow.
Yeah, it's good. So what is on your list of things to do as an artist that you haven't yet done that you still want to accomplish?
Well, I I think the it started with Neon Noir in a cool fashion for me uh, that I started. You know, a lot of times we tend to procrastinate and we tend to think, you know, I should do this, and yeah, the neon will be really cool if I do this. And then in my case, I easily forget that you can think about it and have these thought loops that last forever and go on forever. But the best thing is to pick up a guitar and just start working on it, and
Mm.
then follow the sound. You know, you create a sound, and then you follow the little bits and bobs and let it lead you where it might take you. And in this case, working by myself, I was able to do that because a lot of times when you're in a band, it's mishmash of compromises and bad moods, and and which is endearing in itself. But I think that was the new thing for me, and I'd like to continue that journey into just following the sound. It sounds a bit weird, but it also sounds quite epic. So I'd like to continue that, and no idea where it's going to take me. No idea, and that's the cool thing about it because so many things you do know in advance, sort of haphazardly where you're going to end up being in. But musically speaking, you never do know. And yet again, I am a zebra that can't change the stripes. So I don't think that anybody who likes what I do should be scared. You know? So,
Fair enough. Now, with the album out, album's out for just over a year now. Has that lit a fire under you? Is there more on the way? Have you been thinking about new material? Has that lit a fire in you?
Well, most of the year was spent touring. So when on tour and when on tour buses, that's not the best time to write songs, I think, because it's hard to focus and there's so many things going on, and also I don't think it's fair because when on tour you're supposed to be focusing on that and you're supposed to be in the present. And while if you're working on new songs, you're kind of living in the future already. And to me, that's psychologically that's quite demanding.
Mm.
And so now I just picked up. We finished touring for a wee bit now during at New Year's, and now I picked up the guitar. I'm working on ideas, but I don't have the foggiest where it's going to end up. You know how it's going to turn out, or if it's going to be any good. That's once again a cool thing about being by myself. So I can decide upon that stuff when the time comes. The tour will be around 32 gigs, and we'll be done early May in London. So after that, you know, it'll be all about the new music, whatever it might be. But before that, it'll be all about the touring. I need to be like a racehorse with blinkers on. I think it's very important because, yeah, it's like a lot of people just take music for granted, and they do at times sort of like appreciate the muse. But I think that you have to be fair to music. You know, music is given so much to me that I have to be fair and appreciate the fact that she or it hasn't left me and has you know helped me out a ton. I wouldn't be here without music, and music is such a big part of who I am that I really do honestly feel that you have to concentrate on the task at hand as opposed to being all over the place all the time. That comes later.
Certainly does. Now, lastly, let's look ahead to the future. We're going to do a prediction here. I want you to finish this sentence for me. By the end of 2024, Ville Valo will
be as desperate and miserable as always while eating pot noodles and trying to come up with songs that he thinks are going to change the world once again, in brackets. And yeah, and it just might happen, but that's going to be in 25.
All right. Very nice. And on a personal note, I have to say, you are my 750th interview I've done over my time here. So
Whoa.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Always good to talk to someone amazing when it's a good number.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, that's quite amazing. How long has that taken?
Started in 2009. So it's a little while. And obviously, but a couple of years that were a bit rough, but we're getting back up there.
Yeah. But that's a lot of work as well.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And mate, I can't wait to see you in Sydney. It's going to be an amazing show.
It will be great. Yeah, I'm sure of it. So yeah, catch you in a couple of months.
Excellent. You certainly will. Great to talk to you, mate. Talk to you again soon.
See you later. Yeah.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.